What's going on, everybody? How you doing? This is your boy Gerald. It is February 2nd, 2014, and it is also the day of the Super Bowl. Yes? Where has time gone? It was just like yesterday that we went through our seasons of the holidays, and now this is another monument of time in your life that is going to be a milestone or a reflection point. How are you doing today? You doing okay? I hope so. Well, I'm getting ready to start my day. I hope that those who are going to Super Bowl parties and engagements to watch this exciting game, that you are first and foremost safe. If you're going to drink, be responsible. Have a way to come and go. Just trust and believe Officer Friendly is there to do his job. So, be safe. Because we want the same people that hold endearment and love you want to see you tomorrow. Also in a positive place and not because of a setback. But I know you guys are going to do right. All you got because you're listening to your heart. You're discerning. You're placing God first in everything that you do. He is guiding you, and you are tapping into a strength and a courage that has always been there, but you wasn't aware. Because now you're embracing the growth that defines who you are. So how are you? So I had a long night. There were some things that I'm trying to accomplish with my goals, and as you already know, I spend a lot of time. I stay prayed up. I mean, if you get anything out of my videos, anything, first and foremost, thank you for allowing me to take the time just to give insight. If anything, always stay prayed up, because if you just do that one act, that one thankless act for yourself, you will foster the clarity that you deserve. You will gain insight. You will gain understanding. But more importantly, guess what? Your fears cannot reside in the same place. You can't. It's not possible. You know how they say, you're drawing that proverbial line in the sand. You got to decide which team you're playing for. Do you want to be happy, or do you want to settle, living a life of misery, embrace challenges that are not yours, and also be distracted in your walk? You got to make a decision. And the hardest decision that you're ever going to come in contact with is you. Understanding you. How many of you realize, remember this when you were a child? Remember, I know that some of the elementary schools, I know when I was coming up, they had this book called Growing Pains. And, I think it was like during the 2nd to the 4th grade time of your education. But there was a book called Growing Pains. And it kind of gave you an insight of trying to understand you on your level. Well, guess what? Because you mature physically, because you come through challenges emotionally, and because you are starting to strengthen and define who you are spiritually, I've also come to understand that that is just a part of your existence, your life, because you will never master that aspect of yourself. We weren't placed on this earth in perfection. Even though we were made in God's image, it was our responsibility to cultivate our actions so that we could get like Christ-like. Basically, in a nutshell, is to authenticate, to be able to truly see the things that we need compared to the things we want. As you already know, a lot of these cause anxieties. A lot of these things cause emotional upheavals. A lot of these things sponsor and foster truth that doesn't sit well, because it is truth. So, how you doing? You doing okay? I want you to know something. You are very, very special. You are. No matter where you are in your life, no matter what you got going on, no matter who comes in and who goes out, there is only one you. It is your responsibility. It is your responsibility to govern your life. Now, you can make a choice and decide to govern it because of your ego and pride, and I'm going to tell you, you're going to constantly catch an L. You're going to constantly struggle. You're going to constantly not see your purpose or worth. Or you can breathe. You can go within yourself. You can start to question the whys, the hows, the whats that define you. See, the sooner that you get real with yourself, the sooner you'll be able to speak your truth. I've come to understand, when you choose to live a life of secrecy, you're choosing a life that is not your reality, because who you define as should be very, very honored. You should always be able to walk with your head up, taking in life as it comes, because you know that you're protected. So the question is, why aren't you the MVP of your life? Just like the Super Bowl, it's going to be energy from the beginning of the tip-off. There are going to be great plays. There are going to be misguided steps. There are going to even be setbacks. But one thing I've come to learn, no matter what the teams that are being placed in that stadium today, the one that has the most heart, the most determination, the most faith will come out on top. No matter what is going on in the environment, no matter how chaotic it may be, the one that has the most faith will come out on top. That is undeniable. That is why it's important to not get caught up in your environment. Because where you are today is not where you're going to be tomorrow. Where you are today is not where you were. That's why I stress to you, when you're going to start loving yourself, when you're going to stop taking advice that is not in your best interest. If your insight or wisdom is being received from a form of communication that is not pure, well, guess what? Your outcome is going to reflect it. That's why it's very, very important, my family, that you got to do the work. You do understand this is the year of your abundance, your breakthrough. You're going to come into your own. No matter what is being presented, you're coming into your own. And actually, in contrast, I can say this. You're going to have some challenges this year. Yeah, some of y'all already know. Why? Because you'll end up going in the right direction. And as we all know, many people don't like change. A lot of people like consistency, and you should have consistency. But if it's not positive, it is self-defeating, which means you got to turn around, circle those wagons, and go within. So the question to you is this: why aren't you the MVP of your life? See, each and every one of us are special in our own right. each and every one of us have been given talents that may have not been tapped into yet, or maybe polished to a point that you can see how authentic it may be. But it's there. It was given to you when you took your first breath. That's why you got that name you got. Even though there may be some that may be common, but there's only one you. Do you realize how beautiful that is? Do you realize how special that is? Do you realize how unique you really are? So even though we're not spiritual beings, even though we're not perfect beings, we are perfect in God's eye. Because He created you to look a certain way, to talk a certain way, to have a certain build, but He gave you something very, very special. He gave you your spirit, and guess what? He gave you your heart. So the question I should ask you is this: why aren't you allowing your spirit to be your guide so it can validate and be felt through your heart? Come on now. Some of y'all choose to be unhappy. You do understand that you dictate your happiness. No one else does. The people that you're going to come in contact will validate it to a degree, but it also depends on the footing that you have at that moment. So if you're selling yourself short, your happiness is going to reflect that. I know y'all feeling what I'm saying, right? So the question you should ask yourself, why am I not happy? Why am I not investing in myself? Why am I allowing my environment to dictate my outcome? Don't you realize your higher power makes a way when there is no way? You know why He does that? Because He loves you. That's why those instances right now, somebody watching this right now got blessed. And then again, there was somebody that had a close call and it was like, man, I know that was nothing but God. That's right. Trying to get your attention, because you're not supposed to be on this earth suffering. Not one day are you supposed to walk around with a tear falling from your eyes. Not one day are you supposed to have sorrow and regret in your spirit. You're not supposed to do that. You're not. That's why I always and will continue to convey this message from the Holy Spirit. I'm the first one to tell you, I'm not a minister. I'm not. I'm a believer. I'm just like you. But I also know this. Someone prayed in my behalf, and it changed my life. And I may not never know, but I thank them. But I also humble myself to also know that God did not forget me. And for that, I strive to hold myself close to Him, because I know that I'm going to be protected. I know He's going to allow His angels and spirit guides to walk around me and keep me clear, to guide me through discernment. Because I also know that the things that I don't have now in my present life, that doesn't mean that I won't have them, possibly. But I also believe that all things come to pass in the appropriate time. So, it starts within you. So why aren't you the MVP of your life? Who has convinced you that you're not? Who's taken your smile away and said you're not good enough? Who's convinced you not to dream? What was the circumstance that said this is the end all be all? And how is it that it has compromised everything that you stand for? One by one, I ask you, look at your fears. Look at them. And the fact that you're willing to just look at them, you will find the strength to overcome them. Think of it like this. See, here in Virginia Beach, we've got two major tunnels that connect parts of, we have provinces in our area. We call them 7 cities. We have Norfolk, Suffolk, Hampton, Newport News, Virginia Beach, Suffolk, Portsmouth. And we're all, it's like a hand, we're all connected together. And the two tunnels serve as a major artery between the two. So, life sometimes, you know, as we're on the highway, we'll speed through certain experiences just like that, and then sometimes we'll hit gridlock and we won't see no end in sight, but we're there. And it can bring negativity to come up from inside us out into our reality, which is nothing but fear. So then what happens? We'll turn around as we're going down the highway, and we see that tunnel. We can't see the end of that tunnel. We can't even see the beginning of it because there's so much gridlock. But we still keep the faith because we're going in that direction. And eventually we get to the opening. Well, that opening can be represented as change. And as we're going into that tunnel, it is dark. It is noisy. It is chaotic. There's uncertainty because there could be a car that could stall out and at that moment shut everything down, and you're in the midst. I can look at that as like reference of a storm. But no matter what is going on in your life, I don't care if you are going through financial challenges. I don't care if you've got. Let me show you how God works. Watch this. Not even 30 minutes ago. Not even 30 minutes ago, before I made this video, I got up early this morning and I have to work. So the guys are going to have a potluck today. We're going to have the TVs on. But as you already know, the military don't stop. So Joe got to work. So I have a thing for making. I can cook. Not to blow my horn, but that was the one blessing my mom taught me. She taught me at a very, very young age two things: to be able to wash my own clothes and be able to feed myself. And the one insight that my mom shared at a very young age, she told me, she said, "Son, you're not guaranteed that you'll have a wife." Did you hear what I said? She told me that. She said, "You are not guaranteed that you'll have a wife, but you are required to feed yourself, to clothe yourself," meaning to wash my clothes. And looking through my life, as I've navigated through my life and the challenges that I've had, you know, I'll be honest with you, one of my biggest grips in my life has been sustaining relationships. It has. I'll be the first one to admit that to you. Because for a very, very long time, I didn't know who Gerald was. Didn't. And I was trying to appease what society wanted compared to what was needed within myself. Now, let's segue that thought to what I'm about to say. So, I make my hot wings. Now, ladies, my queens, I give you shout out each time I do because I love you. You are the flowers of the earth. You are God's gift to man. That is why it's always said, for every strong man, every spiritual man, there shall be a spiritual woman. Because we're talking about the yoke, the yin and the yang. The two shall be one. Now, let's not get caught up with that. Here's my point. This is what I'm going to go to. So, I make my hot wings this morning, and I didn't feel like doing it. I didn't. I made them last year, and everybody in my command came over to get a piece, and it was very humbling because that, for me, validated that yes, God blessed this, and I did it correctly because there was nothing left. There was nothing left. So last night, after work, you know, I had no intentions on making these hot wings. I wasn't going to do nothing. I said, you know what, I'll just go to Walmart and buy me some store-bought heat him up, put him in the thing, and bring him in. Hey, I work with a bunch of guys. All we're going to do is sit down, tear up the food, get the itis, watch the games, enjoy the commercials, and go on through shift and go on home. Alright, fast forward. So I go and I get my stuff, and I had a hard time sleeping last night. I didn't understand why, but for some reason I had an issue sleeping, and I found myself dozing off, and then I woke up around 3-ish in the morning, and I realized for the last week or so I've been doing that, and I'm like, why am I going through this cycle? Which I realized there's something in my subconscious that is trying to seek clarity. Something within me is being brought to my attention to take note. But I also realized too, because my discernment is so strong, my faith is so strong, I also know that the people that I hold dear, the people that I care about, ladies, you know what I'm talking about, mama, you know what I'm talking about, that intuition, you know, that's just a validation letting me know that someone that I hold dear in my heart purely may be going through something, and I'm feeling that energy between the two, that person and me, someone I'm connected to, but yet it has not been revealed yet. Watch me now. Watch me now. So I didn't understand why I was feeling this energy, but I was. So I get up. I'm doing the chicken, and I make my coffee. Matter of fact, I got my coffee right here. Now I'm getting ready to have my amino acids right now because I'm just eating, sleeping, and praying. I haven't yet started to work out yet, but y'all gonna see me transform this summer too, which is nothing but God, because it's all natural. But I gotta hit my point. Sorry. Alright, so I bought I had like 9 pounds of chicken. Get it all done. I take a little bit for myself. So hey, I might as well have something too. So I prep it for work. So I take it out to my Jeep, and I see my neighbor's son. I see him coming up and down his apartment. You know, I don't say nothing. At the same time, I go inside my apartment and I go get Tyson because he's got a schedule when he wants to go to the bathroom. But I also noticed that he's been kind of antsy also within the last week or so. And I know that he can feel my energy as well. I'm a firm believer that pets and animals have a discernment because it's pure. So if you got a pet and they acting up, and when they only do that around certain people, take notice because they're feeling the energy of that person that is not right. Take heed of that. Same thing with children, babies, young ones, because they're pure. They receive that energy, and they will tell you. They can sense it. That's why you see it all the time. You see that scenario. Babies come, then you give the baby or the child access to another person, and they start freaking out and flicking off. It's because they feel the energy of that person or that environment. Please take heed of that. Okay, fast forward. So I take Tyson out to use the restroom, and he's kind of just trying. I'm like, what's going on, you know? So Tyson does his thing, and by the time I bring him back inside, I see the son come back downstairs again. Okay? So I take Tyson in, I get him together, put him in his kennel. So he's good to go until I come home. So at that time, I take my hot wings out to the Jeep. Right? I'm seeing people come out from upstairs. People I don't know. Now it's not my business to be in my neighbor's business, but these are people I didn't know. Okay, so at that same time, I turned around and come back in. I said, well, you know what? Let me go grab my trash, take it to the dumpster, which is right out front. And watch this, y'all. As I'm coming out, I make contact with the sun, and I look down on the ground, and I see this envelope, and there was money in it. There was money. I think maybe a couple dollars or whatever, but there was money in it. And it had been there for a while because of the snow. It was wet. So now instinctively I could have just scooped it up like, come up, it's a blessing. But my instinct said, no, that's not yours. So as I went to the dumpster, I think it was like $2 or something like that. I looked, and I left it right there by the dumpster for someone else to claim. And I said, whoever claims this, may they be blessed. Now I could have blessed myself and kept it in my wallet and kept it moving, but once again, it was not my gift to keep. It was my gift to give to someone else that may possibly need it. Okay, now watch this. So as I'm leaving the dumpster, I'm going back into my apartment, and I'm seeing this entourage of people, and this lady, his friend, was like, hey, you know, your neighbor, you know, he got in some trouble, and police is coming. Please keep her eye out on what's going on. So I didn't say anything. I immediately went into prayer mode. And as I came in, shut my door, I started to pray over the situation, right? Now, here's my point. It's been over a week and a half that one of his friends has been coming over. And ever since then, there's been nothing but chaos. To the point that I had to address it one time and say, hey man, you know, I'm not trying to be in your business, but you're knocking pictures off my wall. Got a problem with that. Can you just turn that down a notch? You know, I mean, you're talking 250-pound dudes. You know how apartments are. You're going to hear whatever, especially if they live above you. But just then, it all clicked. See, do you see how it's playing out? These were all synchronicities of what was going to be revealed, because I had made contact with the family friend before I knew he was a family friend because of how he accessed the apartment. And I called my neighbor to let him know, hey man, what's going on? I see this guy. And he confirmed who he was. But ever since then, you know, I told him, hey, look, I invited him to my channel. I said, listen, man, you know, I know you're going through trials and tribulations. We've all been there. But it is also dictated on how you decide to work through those challenges. And for a second, I had his ear. I did. But then I also know that this outside element was not a good influence, and now, you know, he's got some things he's got to work through. But I prayed for him. I hope that no matter what is being revealed, whatever he's got to go through, this setback will be his setup, so he can go in himself to authenticate who he is. Think about it, y'all. This might be the motivation that may make you decide to instead of going left, go right. Because God is in everything, no matter what it is. He makes a way when there is no way, when you decide to let him in your life. And I think somebody needed to hear that, so I'm putting this out to you. No matter what your situation is, Remember, you are loved. God loves you. Your family loves you. Your extensions of your life should love you as well. It should all be in flow. But if you're running into upheavals, then you need to go one by one and ask yourself, why? Why am I connected to this person? How is this person an impact in my life? Does this person allow me to grow and come into my own? Do they support my dreams and understand what I communicate? Can we stand together, or are we divided, walking on the same path? Because you do understand, we as people, spiritual beings first, the people you come in contact are really more or less mirrors of what is found in your heart. I know you're feeling what I'm saying, so the question, once again, is why are you settling? Why are you not living your life like the MVP you are? Why? You don't have to settle, but you are expected to grow. And the only way you can have growth, you got to have fortitude. To have fortitude, you got to have courage, which means what? To walk by faith and not by sight. Because if you gauge your life off of what you see in your environment, you will never be happy and you will never accomplish your dreams. You won't. You will always fall short. Look at society. Look at what we deem as celebrity. Come on, man. Every one of those people are insecure. I'm not judging them, speaking facts. Some of them are in positions where they attained it, but they didn't attain it correctly, and they're paranoid because they knew that what it took for them to obtain it was not right. Because when it's right within you, not only can you attain it once, but it should prosper. But if your actions are like a thief in the night, well, guess what? Everything in the dark comes to light eventually. And you will eventually have to atone for that, because until you decide to humble yourself, God can't step in to guide you where you need to be. I think somebody needs to hear that. So stop fooling yourself. Stop thinking the world's out to get you. Start creating your reality. It's that simple. I know someone was saying, well, Gerald, it's not easy as you think it is. You know what? Guess what? Everybody has a starting point, but you determine where you end. Did you hear what I said? Everybody has a starting point, but you define where you end up. So, you going to accept, or you going to create? You going to let your higher power guide you and protect you? Or are you going to be a victim to circumstance because you allowed yourself to be compromised? Just think about the Super Bowl we're going to watch. You think that people are not going to have a game plan on victory? The victory should be having the life of harmony. You know, but let's look at it like this. For my kings, I'm going to break it down for you. Your higher power, I know him as my Lord Jesus Christ. He is like the coach, and you are on his team, and he has certain plays for your life so that you can fulfill the ultimate goal, which is success of self. But when we don't listen to that play, we get hit. First time it doesn't have any effect, but being the coach, because he's in the position to guide you, you can say the refs are like angels. They're there to make sure to officiate what's going on in your life. He turns around and says, hey, I need you to stay focused in your life, and I need you to do this with that, because you're discerning, you're having a connection with him. But still, because we're human beings, and because we allow our fears to cloud our judgment, what happens? We turn around and we fumble a blessed opportunity. Now we don't have possession of what we thought we had possession of. And now we have to go back so that we can have the opportunity to try again. But that's okay though, because even if you get knocked down, you can get back up. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't care what goes on. I don't care what happens. You could have money in the bank and then tomorrow you lose it all. But guess what? If it was purely done to obtain it the first time, you'll get it back. You'll get it back. But maybe this may be a season where you've got to be humble and do the work for yourself. Maybe this is the time where you might have to shed those that may have not had their best interests, and through this season you are seeing them for what they are. You are hearing what they're about, because guess what? They're kicking you now. They're speaking boldly and brazenly and not giving compassion. And if they're showing compassion, it's compassion because there's an agenda underneath, which is nothing but control. You don't need that. You don't need that. So that's why I tell you, my family, you leave your spiritual door open. Leave it open. But make sure that your boundaries are in place. Think of your house like, your house is, the room is hot, right? And you're opening up a window and letting all that hot air out. And you're allowing all that fresh air to come in. Yes, sometimes you got to go through a cooling period so that you got clarity. But it won't start until you see your work. I know I'm talking to someone. But until you go within yourself and start loving yourself, you're going to still constantly catch an L. You're going to constantly fumble blessed opportunities. You got to understand your higher power is in the blessing business. Why? Because you are his child. Why wouldn't he want to bless you? Why wouldn't he want to give you what you need, not what you want? But if you don't see your worth, if you don't see how unique you are, guess what? It's never going to come to pass. If you are emulating what you see the next person do, you will not be able to understand what is intended for you. Why? Come on now. Come on. Some of y'all may have gone to school and said, I wanted to be this, because you had someone influence you only to get into that job and hate it. Come on now. The reason why that is because you don't know who you are. You don't even know who you are. I'm not making light of that. What I'm trying to do is get you to look within yourself and say, hey, I'm worth it. You got to define that. If you don't define that you're worth it, your environment's not going to do it. And guess what? All you're going to do is attract the same thing. The same environment. The same broken record. You ain't worth it. You're not supposed to take an L. You're not supposed to settle. You're supposed to be able to be in flow with your life. You're supposed to be receiving your blessings as they come on. So why aren't you the MVP of your life? My parents, let me reach this out to you. This is some challenging times right now. I know it is. I know that your heart may ache sometimes, and you might want to scratch your head. You might want to pull your hair out, and you don't understand why. I'm gonna tell you. When you decide to look in the ass, you gotta excuse that. You gotta excuse me. Hold on. Sorry. Hear that? On and on. God. Let me call you back. I'm leaving out with you. Sorry. Alright, but my point is this. This goes back to growing pains. You've been placed on this planet to do a certain thing. But you gotta be you. You gotta accept your flaws to master them. Because it's your flaws that are clouding your judgment. Why? Because you don't see your worth or your value. And that's why you have a disconnect with your children. Did you hear what I'm saying? My queens, I know you hear what I'm talking about. You can't take the position of thinking like a man and you got a son and thinking that he's going to understand what you're talking about, because I'm saying this out of love. You're not a man, you're a woman. Humble yourself down. And when you humble yourself down and ask for assistance, someone in your family, someone that in your environment that comes from a position of love, guess what? The relationship not only that you have with your sons will change, but it will be nurturing to you as the mother. You see what I said? Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to place a square peg in a circle, and it ain't gonna work. So you use force. And guess what happens when you use force? You get rebellion. You get disconnect. It doesn't work. So change it up a little bit. You're my queens, you just don't understand. You got so many blessings in front of you, you don't even see it. Why? Because you're allowing your environment to sway what needs to be clear. Stop doing that. That's just like, same goes with you, kings. Stop worrying about when your queen's coming. Stop it. You gotta stop doing that. Focus on you. If you want to attract the mate that you want, you gotta be the MVP of your life. Have the traits that you would want in a mate. Starting with your heart first. Start atoning what's within. Start speaking them secrets that you hold. See, until you speak those secrets out and confess them, guess what? You will not have the life intended, because those secrets is what's holding you from your blessings. Did you hear me? That's why you can't live a life of shelter. You must seek a life of transparency, which is also a dynamic of being of intimacy. I know you hear what I'm saying. Because if you're coming from a position that is pure, not only is that attractive, but it shows strength. And ain't nothing more stronger, women, I'm telling you. You want a good man? Make sure that man is spiritually grounded. Make sure he knows who he is. But guess what? It doesn't come from a place of fear. Don't. He knows how to do what he needs to do because he's discerning. Not what's found in his wallet. Not what is found here. Because that's just a dynamic. That is nothing like it. It's like having a sundae without a cherry. You got to have all the ingredients to truly enjoy it. So once again, why aren't you the MVP in your life? Come on now. And when you decide to be real with yourself, guess what? You'll get rid of that anger. You know, that backpack that you've been carrying in your life? When you don't get your way and people don't understand you, and you know that you're a beautiful person, but people still don't get you, and so you feel that you've got to go beyond the call of duty to be validated, or better yet, be acknowledged. You ain't got to do that. You ain't got to do that when you know who you are. Because guess what? What happens is you get to more or less bypass all the negatives, all the distractions, because you see your worth, you see your potential, and you find your purpose. It's kind of like going to like Orlando or somewhere, and you got that fun pass, and instead of being in that line, you go all the way to the front. Yes, because you have value, and that value is you. So be the VIP. Excuse me, VIP. Yes, be the MVP of your life. You deserve that. Come on now. Time to take them negative stones out your heart so some love can come in and heal you. And don't worry, God don't need you to lead your life. Just let God lead your life for you and you'll be fine. Trust Him. Trust Him with your heart and watch what He provides. But in the end, please believe the devil's work is never done. And he's banking that you're going to slip up and take the first thing that comes. Because that's what you've been doing the whole time. And guess what? It ain't worked out for you, have it? Why? Because you're not being the MVP of your life. Come on, y'all. Score that. Get that trophy. That trophy is your legacy. You deserve it. You see your worth. And the closer that you embrace Him, the closer that you gravitate to your heart. And I'm not saying wear it on a sleeve, because you ain't got to when you're walking with your higher power. He gonna protect you. But the people that you got conflict, they're gonna bypass you because you're walking in the Spirit. And they're gonna look at you like, I can't figure you out. You're not posted because you're not like-minded. But always have optimism that one day, if it's divinely meant, you too will walk in harmony. That's why it's in the Bible. That's why it's there. And I'm not going to butcher that verse, but you know what I'm talking about. You know, the two, we can't walk in harmony, you know, but it all correlates. I can't walk with you if we're not like-minded. But the like-minded starts within your heart first. And whatever's found in your heart will be your reality. And I done got on my soapbox and I got to get up out of here. I hope you guys enjoy the Super Bowl. I'm going to try to watch it while I'm working. But if I don't, hey, there's always DVR. But as I always say, God's praying for you. You know I am. I know my worth, because I also discern it with yours. Stay blessed, y'all. Stay protected. If you're out and about today, please watch the highways and byways, because unfortunately there are going to be those that are going to be taking a chance, and you don't need to be one of them. Stay blessed, y'all. Bye.